Amidst the hustle and bustle of her seemingly never-ending work schedule, Ryan Pierce, a lifestyle guru and world-renowned best-selling author, reminisces about the wild adventures of her college buddies, the Flossy Posse. Sadly, due to the relentless demands of her career, she hasn't connected with the group for over 5 years. After another day of endless interviews, Ryan learns that she has been selected as the keynote speaker at the prestigious Essence Music Festival in New Orleans. However, instead of celebrating such a coveted role, her mind is at a fever pitch, buzzing with excitement over the opportunity to finally reconnect with her group. Unfortunately, as they prepare for their trip, the rest of the Floss Posse encounters their fair share of personal trials. Sasha, a struggling gossip columnist, risks losing a huge client as her recent posts have failed to gain any traction with their readers. Her bill's piling up too. Meanwhile, Dina, aka hardcore Zionist supporter Tiffany Haddish, risks losing her executive position after lashing out at a co-worker over a trivial matter. She gaslights her boss into not firing her. Finally, Lisa, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, a nurse and high-strung single mother, second-guesses her decision to leave on the trip, worrying that her kids will struggle without her. However, thanks to her mother's egging and Dina's persistence, she ultimately decides to head out. Is Lisa single because of her entanglements? Elsewhere, following another television interview, Ryan notices a strangely intimate encounter between her personal assistant, Liz, and her husband, Stuart. "I didn't think Addison Montgomery would be a trifling hoe." She dismisses it as nothing, but Liz won't stop using words like preach or ratchet, so Ryan asks her to refrain from using those words during their trip. Liz says she's not even offended and says to have fun during her Black Girl Magic weekend and says, "Girl, bye." Ryan heads to the airport where she finally reunites with the rest of the Floss Posse. However, there's some awkward tension between Ryan and Sasha. The women board their flight, continuing their playful banter as they settle into their seats. While waiting for departure, Sasha asks Lisa when was the last time her back was broken. Dina suggests they get 2 eggplants for Lisa this weekend. Following their fun-filled flight, the Flossy Posse boards a luxurious limo that takes them through the extravagant streets of New Orleans. Unable to resist the irresistible allure of the vibrant city and its people, the women partake in the widespread festivities, resulting in a series of unforgettable encounters, such as Dina being chased by an enraged human statue and Lisa drawing the gaze of a fine-ass man. Girl, Will Smith finna find out. Amidst the jubilation, Sasha receives a scandalous photo of Stuart swapping herpes with an Instagram model named Simone. The women decide to keep it from Ryan, fearing that such a revelation would ruin her euphoric mood. Unfortunately, Dina, unable to control her boiling rage, reveals everything to her friend. After Dina's hateful and vulgar tirade, Ryan reveals that she's already aware of the situation and shares with her friends that the two are attending couples therapy to work through Stuart's infidelity. Instead, she insists that they focus on rekindling their glory days by making the most of their time together. Sasha, however, warns that it'll only be a matter of time until Stuart's infidelity is on the front page of every tabloid. Moments later, they find themselves at a stunning bar where they spot Stuart enjoying a drink with an unknown woman. In a fit of rage, Dina rushes at him, threatening him with a broken bottle as she spews venomous insults toward his lady friend, who turns out to be his aunt. Thankfully, they manage to restrain her, leaving Lisa to apologize for her friend's actions. However, to their dismay, Dina's outburst results in the group being thrown out of the hotel, but not before she lands one last parting shot on Stuart's smug face. Right outside the hotel, Dina tells people on the street to not use that hotel because a ghost tried to spread her legs. Then Ryan chastises her husband for his continued betrayal, branding herself a fool for putting up with his unfaithfulness. In an attempt to quell her fury, Stuart apologizes, reminding her that their partnership is what makes them so beloved by her readers. His apology seems to strike a chord, as Ryan softens slightly, telling him to get his hoe under control in order to close the lucrative deal they had been offered. With that, she departs, joining her friends in search of a place to stay for the night. Unfortunately, due to the influx of tourists arriving for the festival, the Floss Posse is left with no choice but to hunker down in a shabby motel. Their dire situation leads to a confrontation between Sasha and Dina, the latter blaming her friend for their misery. Their kerfuffle is interrupted by the sudden intrusion of a disheveled homeless man who had come in search of an OnlyFans worker to satisfy his urges. Thankfully, they stave off his advances, driving him out of their room with a whole lot of yelling and some pepper spray. He decides to flash them through the window, though, and Dina is impressed with his size. Later that evening, the girls get ready, Dina tells Lisa that the diddler isn't going to wait for them if they're late. Lisa is dressed in an overly conservative outfit, looking to shed their friend's uptight vibe. The rest of the Flossy Posse forces her to change into a more daring ensemble. A while later, the women find themselves at the VIP lounge of the Essence Festival, where the alcohol flows like water and the vibes are electric. Unfortunately, even all the confidence in the world is not enough to save them from the embarrassment brought on by Lisa's failed attempts to flirt with the other partygoers. She tells them she puts a frozen piece of her placenta in her shakes every morning. To make matters worse, Ryan urges Sasha to tone down her gossip hunting, worrying that it would make the other celebrities in attendance nervous. As expected, Sasha does not take the request lightly. Thankfully, before things escalate any further, Lisa arrives to drag her friend off. While Lisa calms Sasha down, Ryan and Dina run into Julian, an old friend and one of the numerous performers scheduled for that evening. Moments later, Lisa runs into Malik, the handsome stranger she encountered earlier in the day, and the two instantly hit it off. The rest of the Flossy Posse catch wind of the encounter, rejoicing as their friend seems to be one kiss away from breaking her dry spell. It's finally time for P. Diddy to perform, and girl, this did not age well. Dina is grabbed onto stage to party and dance with the felon. Following the performance, the group heads out to continue the festivities along the dazzling streets of New Orleans. They all take turns doing white people shit swinging, but Lisa soon finds herself dangling in the air atop hundreds of roaring bystanders. To make matters worse, she soon loses control of her bladder, drenching horrified onlookers in a golden shower. Dina, unfazed by her friend's embarrassment, quickly glides and kicks Lisa away, then gives the remaining bystanders the same water sports special. After the aerial display, Ryan playfully flirts with Julian, who rejects her advances knowing full well she is married. Instead, he saves the Floss Posse from a fate worse than death, offering to put the women up in his suite to avoid having to spend another second in the horrible motel. Though Ryan came up short, not all the women came home empty-handed, as Lisa finds herself in an entanglement with Malik. Unfortunately, the immense size of his package scares her off, leaving her friends with a story for the ages. Before calling it a night, the Floss Posse gather around for a prayer led by none other than Dina. The next day, Ryan shows up to her interview with a hangover. As she settles in, the rest of the Floss Posse do their best to help Lisa out with her massive problem. Dina shows them how it's done, using a banana and grapefruit as a prop. Back at the Essence Festival, Ryan and Stuart go about their business, while the rest of the women soak in the sights. Unfortunately, the festive mood is soon ruined by the arrival of Simone, resulting in an onstage kerfuffle between both parties. I don't know who wrote this recap, but kerfuffle? Basically, Ryan's inner Brenda came out and showed Stuart what she would do to his sausage. Chop it, then she'd tenderize it. Then Dina shoves some sausage into Simone's mouth. Following the encounter, Ryan is approached by Sasha, who offers to help cover up the scandal that would unfold when Stuart's unfaithfulness is eventually exposed. However, with her lucrative deal fast approaching, Ryan relents, begging her friend to hold off the insiders while she sorts things out. Later that evening, the women begin the festivities with a toast to their friendship. Unbeknownst to them, mixed into the beverages was an unknown liquor Dina had purchased from a shady salesman earlier that day. They soon feel the effects of the drink as they party in a nearby nightclub, resulting in a series of wacky hallucinations and psychedelic encounters. Unfortunately, their inebriated state ruins an important meeting between Ryan and Bethany, a corporate advertiser. Even Liz goes overboard and drinks out of a candle. Wrought with shame, the women seek refuge in a more eclectic nightclub, where they soon spot Simone and her friends lighting up the dance floor. What ensues is a dance battle for the ages, as the Floss Posse test their mettle against the younger challengers, eager to put them to shame. With years of partying under their belt, the women wipe the floor clean against Simone's crew, saying, "You got served," then resulting in a physical altercation that leaves tables turned over and bottles broken. Thankfully, before things can escalate any further, the police arrive, forcing both parties to flee the scene. As they depart from the bar, they run into Julian, who had come to their rescue after a drunken message from the group. He takes them back to the suite, once again rejecting Ryan's advances before bidding them adieu. While making their way to the room, they find Malik waiting for Lisa in the lobby, and the two head up for a night of woo-woo. Meanwhile, the rest of the group reminisces about their good old days, when life was simple, just sleeping with men. Ryan judges Sasha's line of work always gossiping. However, Sasha tells Ryan that she should be more real with her readers because they'd probably like that and relate to her struggles more. Back at the suite, the group celebrates Lisa's renewed vigor. Sadly, their jubilation soon turns into horror, as an encounter gone wrong results in grapefruit juice in all the wrong places. The next day, Sasha, hounded by her client, contemplates uploading Stuart's scandalous photos to her website. Meanwhile, Ryan and Stuart continue their meeting with Bethany, who, despite the previous night's embarrassment, offers the couple an unbelievable sum of money to be the face of her brand. That night, the Flossy Posse celebrates the couple's massive deal at a snazzy nightclub. During their soiree, Ryan asks Sasha if the paparazzi in possession of Stuart's photo would be willing to sell it to her for a lump sum, revealing that she's decided to work things out with her husband. Before she can answer, however, Julian and R&B star Neo take the stage, leaving the women entranced with their music. Following the performance, Ryan and Julian share a drink in the warm glow of the VIP lounge. Amidst their shared banter, Ryan wonders Julian has never settled down, to which he replies that he's never met anyone he considers his equal. Before they can touch further on the topic, Simone suddenly storms in, heading directly for Ryan. However, before she can even get close to her target, Sasha blocks her path and escorts her outside the lounge. There, Simon reveals that she is pregnant with Stuart's baby, threatening to go public with their affair if he does not respond to her in the next 24 hours. In addition, she threatens to expose everything on Sasha's website, implicating her as the one responsible for ruining the couple's marriage. Following the encounter, the women break the news to Ryan, who then, in a tearful confession, reveals that Stuart's infidelity stemmed from her inability to bear him a child. Moments later, Stuart arrives at their suite, begging for a chance to speak to his wife. Despite her friend's trepidations, Ryan agrees, granting her husband one last chance at redemption. Stuart reveals that he had spoken to Simone, who has agreed to sign an NDA in exchange for a monthly allowance for her and the baby. He urges Ryan to forgive him, reminding her that their massive deal would fall apart if they were to part ways. After a few tense moments, the remaining members of the Flossy Posse watch in disgust as the couple seemingly let bygones be bygones. Dina wonders if Ryan got dickmatized. Ryan digs at Lisa's life, then does the same to Sasha. Suddenly, Ryan receives a call from a panicked Liz, who reveals that the photos have finally been leaked. Consumed by rage, Ryan rushes toward Sasha, blaming her for the widespread dissemination of her husband's infidelity for money. Claiming she broke because she hides her tags on her clothes. Her accusations pierce through Sasha's heart, leading Sasha to angrily remind Ryan of the sacrifices Sasha made for the sake of their future. Emotions soon spill over, and the entire group begins arguing amongst themselves, leading to an abrupt and chaotic ending to their supposedly idyllic weekend in paradise. Sasha reiterates that she'd never do anything to hurt Ryan, even though Ryan continues to blame her. Days later, Stuart's affair is all over the news, resulting in the tarnishing of the couple's once spotless image. Elsewhere, Lisa finds Dina in a nearby bar, and the two quickly patch things up. Meanwhile, as Ryan prepares to deliver her Keynote address, Sasha posts a public apology for her actions, taking down her site as proof of her missteps. Her gesture wins the hearts of friends, and the trio heads to Ryan's address dressed in Lisa's ugly tacky ass, bedazzled jean vests. Moments later, Ryan begins her speech by denying the allegations made against the integrity of their marriage, saying the pictures were AI. Suddenly, Dina, Lisa, and Sasha burst into the hall, their looks of concern and support enough to convince Ryan to go off script and bravely admit that the rumors swirling around them are true. She continues, confessing that her fear of letting go of their relationship stemmed from her dread of being alone. However, during the time spent reconnecting with her friends, she was reminded of her worth and fearlessness. Her speech is met with a standing ovation, leaving not a dry eye in the audience. Following her oration, the Floss Posse reunites as Ryan dons her own bedazzled jacket. Unfortunately, their celebration is short-lived, as Liz enters the room with a long look on her face. However, to their joyous surprise, Liz reveals that Bethany wants nothing more than to proceed with their deal, choosing to drop Stuart and focus solely on Ryan because the market for single women is huge. Elated, Ryan invites Sasha to be her new partner, fulfilling a dream years in the making. As the days go by, Ryan embarks on a new relationship with Julian, while the Flossy Posse forges ahead together, navigating life's twists and turns hand in hand. This was such a feel-good movie that had well-written characters. I honestly would watch this version of Sex and the City if it were a series. The chemistry is all there, and you can really feel the love and friendship. If you haven't seen this one, check it out. Until next time.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.